Hi everyone, this video describes our time in Panama.
We cruised the San Blas Islands first, before spending a couple of months in Linton Bay marina to do some engine work.
Enjoy! After a very nice stay in Santa Marta in Colombia, we departed for Panama. 2.5-day passage downwind in pretty good conditions overall. The current was sometimes with us and sometimes against us, which certainly affected the sea state. It was really very obvious. There was a little bit of traffic, but not a lot, and occasionally we were under headsail only, but mostly under headsail and main, and we reefed and unreefed a few times during the passage. The wind lightened off as we approached Panama, and we ended up motoring for only 2 hours during the passage. It was a very nice sail.
Puerto Albaldia had a real remote frontier town kind of feel to it, but that said, it was possible to clear in and get our cruising permit from the Maritime Authority, and then it was time to sail up the coast to the more protected bay of Puerto Escosas. Yep, we'd finally caught the dreaded COVID virus. So not only were we feeling shocking for the first half of our San Blas cruise, but it also meant that we had to isolate, so we weren't able to go ashore and meet anyone or tour around this really interesting part of Panama, which was really unfortunate. The sail from Puerto Escosas north was very scenic. However, we'd had very heavy rains, which meant a lot of rubbish had been washed into the water, including several large branches, so we had to keep a really good lookout whilst we were underway. We had several visits from the local Gunayala people who sold us molars and beautiful, delicious lobsters. The eastern San Blas is very poorly charted, which makes navigating through these areas quite hazardous. However, the bowhouse charts, the images that are featured in this video, were absolutely invaluable to be able to navigate around this area safely and with confidence. As we progressed further along the eastern San Blas coast, we were able to bear off the wind a little bit, which meant we could roll out some sail rather than having to motor. The eastern San Blas is certainly a great deal more remote than the islands further west. You really do feel that you're out there in the middle of nowhere here. That said, the lack of facilities and supplies are more than made up with the most beautiful and spectacular sceneries. Far fewer yachts visit the eastern San Blas. This is just because it's so much more remote than the western islands. For us, we were sailing in loose company with 4 other yachts from the UK, New Zealand, South Africa and Switzerland. The eastern Holander Cays mark the start of the western San Blas, which is much more popular with visiting yachts, and there's also much more facilities in regards to supplies, medical supplies and so on. Christmas was approaching, so many of the anchorages here were getting a bit busy. So we spent a few days in a few anchorages around Barbecue Island. We also spent some time at Bannadup and then went around to the hot tub before returning to Bannadup for Christmas and a beautiful seafood lunch ashore at Ivan's lovely restaurant. With Christmas over, it was time for all the boats to head their separate ways, so we had one final sail together west to Chichime in the far western San Blas, before our friends continued on to Portobello and then the Bocas del Toro, while we headed to Linton Bay to get our rapidly disintegrating engine mount replaced.
Bye bye, Chichime.
So we arrived in Linton Bay just a few days before New Year's Eve, which we celebrated along with the crew of South African yacht Avanti.
Our engine mount inserts were 9 years old, so overdue for replacement. In fact, we got replacements from Polyflex in Australia. We gathered our tools and tackle, pulled the engine out, disassembled the mounts and reassembled them. When we refitted the mounts and the engine, we found it would not align with the shaft. 2 of the mounts were already at the bottom of their travel. Eventually we found a mechanic with a good idea, which was to make new mount bases, as shown here. They took several weeks to arrive and required circular holes under them to allow the mount to move. We then refitted the engine on the custom mounts and were able to align the engine, and finally we had a working engine again.
Whilst waiting for the engine repairs, we kept ourselves busy with a few other jobs, such as creating this lovely new sewing cum dining table, and we also did a bit of exploring around the Linton Bay area, and we went with a cruising friend along to the Panama Marina through the mangroves, where we enjoyed a beautiful steak dinner at the French restaurant there. With the engine issues all finally resolved, we were able to escape Panama and head north. We hope you enjoyed the video.
Our next video will describe our time in Jamaica.
Thanks for watching.
See ya!